Mercy Hospital, a beacon of hope, or so it seemed, towering over the city. It was an architectural marvel, all glass and steel. Its pristine white walls gleamed under the sun, a symbol of cutting-edge medical prowess, a place where lives were saved and hope was rekindled. At least, that was the facade. Behind its grandeur, a darkness festered. Whispers danced on the wind, stories of patients vanishing, rumors of hushed-up scandals. The staff, always tight-lipped, brushed aside the concerns. They spoke of miracles and medical breakthroughs. The rumors started subtly, a patient declared healthy, disappearing without a trace. An orderly whispering of strange chants late at night. A fleeting glimpse of hooded figures in a deserted corridor, dismissed as hallucinations, stress, or overactive imaginations. The staff, with their practiced smiles and rehearsed explanations, maintained the illusion of normalcy. They moved with an unsettling efficiency, their movements too precise, too synchronized. Their eyes, cold and calculating, held a chilling secret. The legend of the secret society was whispered only in hushed tones. Sarah clutched the crumpled missing person flyer, her knuckles bone white. Her brother David had checked into Mercy Hospital for a routine procedure. Then he vanished. The police, after a cursory investigation, declared it a missing persons case. But Sarah knew in her gut something was wrong. Mercy Hospital had always sent shivers down her spine. Even as a child, she would clutch her mother's hand a little tighter when they passed its imposing gates. The rumors, the whispers, they all pointed to something sinister lurking beneath its gleaming exterior. She had to find David. She had to know the truth. The hospital staff, a sea of starched white coats and forced smiles, greeted Sarah with a politeness that felt rehearsed, robotic. Their eyes, however, held a coldness that sent chills down her spine. Her questions about David were met with vague answers and dismissive shrugs. Security footage from the day he disappeared, conveniently corrupted. Witnesses, strangely silent. The hospital hummed with a different energy at night. The constant bustle of the day shift gave way to an unsettling stillness. Shadows stretched from every corner, and the silence was broken only by the rhythmic beeping of unseen machines. It was during one of these late-night shifts that Sarah first encountered Dr. Stein. He moved with an almost predatory grace, his eyes sharp and intelligent, taking in her every move. "You seem lost," he said, his voice a low, melodious purr that belied the coldness in his eyes. "New here, aren't you?" Days melted into nights. Sarah, tirelessly pursuing every lead, every whisper, felt like she was running through a maze blindfolded. The hospital staff, a symphony of practiced smiles and evasive answers, offered no help. Their eyes followed her every move, watchful, wary. One evening, while making her rounds, delivering magazines to patients' rooms, she noticed an empty bed. The occupant, an elderly woman recovering from a hip replacement, had been there just hours ago. Sarah distinctly remembered their brief conversation, the woman's frail hand clutching hers, her cloudy eyes filled with a strange fear. When Sarah inquired about the missing patient, the nurses on duty seemed strangely unconcerned. Discharged, they chirped in unison, their smiles a touch too wide, a touch too rehearsed. But Sarah saw through the facade. Days later, while organizing a donation bin, Sarah discovered a discarded medical textbook. As she flipped through its pages, her eyes fell upon a peculiar symbol, a serpent swallowing its tail, forming a perfect circle. The caption read, Ouroboros, an ancient symbol representing cyclical continuity, eternity, and the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. She had seen the symbol before, etched onto the metal clasp of Dr. Stein's leather-bound journal, engraved on the silver pin worn by one of the nurses. A fleeting glimpse on a faded tapestry hanging in the hospital's deserted west wing. The symbol, once innocuous, now sent shivers down her spine. It was everywhere, a silent sentinel, a constant reminder of the hospital's dark secret. It was a thread, she realized, a thread that could unravel the entire tapestry of lies and deceit. One night, as Sarah made her way through the eerily quiet corridors, her ears picked up a faint sound, a low, rhythmic chanting emanating from somewhere deep within the hospital's bowels. Curiosity, mixed with a healthy dose of fear, propelled her forward. She followed the sound, her heart pounding against her ribs like a drum. It led her to a door concealed behind a tapestry depicting a gruesome scene of human sacrifice. Her hand trembled as she reached for the handle, cold and metallic against her palm. The chanting grew louder, the words indistinguishable yet filled with a chilling intensity. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pushed the door open. The sight that greeted her sent a wave of nausea rolling through her. The silver knife flashed in the flickering torchlight. A collective gasp escaped Sarah's lips. She stumbled back, her hand instinctively flying to her mouth to stifle a scream. The chanting reached a deafening crescendo as the masked figure plunged the knife into the patient's chest. The chamber pulsed with a malevolent energy. Sarah's stomach churned as the masked figures, their movements a grotesque ballet, began chanting in an unknown tongue. The air grew thick, heavy with the metallic scent of blood and something else, something ancient and evil. Suddenly a floorboard creaked beneath her foot. Sarah raced through the labyrinthine corridors, her mind a jumble of fear and confusion. The hospital, once sterile and white, now felt oppressive, the air thick with a palpable darkness. She had stumbled upon a truth too horrifying to comprehend, a secret that chilled her to the bone. She burst through a set of double doors, finding herself face to face with Dr. Stein. He stood calmly, a scalpel glinting in his hand, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. Behind him, the reflection of the ritual chamber flickered on the stainless steel surface of a surgical tray. You should not have seen that, he said, his voice a low, menacing purr. But now that you have, you must join us, or... Foolish girl, Dr. Stein chuckled, taking a step closer. We are not monsters. We are seekers of truth, of enlightenment, of eternal life. He held up the scalpel, the metal catching the dim light. We are merely vessels, instruments in a grand design. Sarah backed away, her hand instinctively reaching for something, anything, to defend herself. The hospital, once a symbol of healing, had become her prison, a twisted labyrinth designed to trap her, to silence her. You can't escape, Dr. Stein said, his voice echoing in the empty corridor. We are everywhere. We are the lifeblood of this hospital, the unseen hand that guides its every move. Terror lent speed to her feet. Sarah ran, her breath catching in her throat, the echo of Dr. Stein's chilling laughter nipping at her heels. The hallway stretched before her, seemingly endless, the sterile white walls now a canvas for flickering shadows. Behind her, the rhythmic thud of heavy footsteps, masked figures appearing and disappearing at the edges of her vision. She had to escape to bring the horrors she had witnessed to light. Ducking into a darkened room, Sarah pressed her back against the cold metal of a cabinet, her chest heaving. The room, filled with discarded medical equipment, smelled faintly of formaldehyde and decay. A single window, barred and grimy, offered a sliver of moonlight and a glimpse of the world outside, a world that felt 1,000,000 miles away. A sob escaped her lips, muffled by her hand. Despair, a suffocating blanket, threatened to engulf her. Was this the end? Would she disappear like the others, another victim claimed by the hospital's insatiable hunger? A soft voice, a whisper in the darkness, startled her. You shouldn't be here, it said. Sarah spun around, her heart pounding, her eyes struggling to adjust to the shadows. A figure, shrouded in the dim light, emerged from behind a stack of gurneys. Skepticism warred with desperation. Could she trust this woman? Was this another trap? The nurse, sensing her hesitation, reached out a hand, her touch surprisingly warm.
"Follow me," the nurse whispered, leading her through a maze of corridors. The air grew colder, damper, the smell of disinfectant replaced by the musty odor of earth.
They arrived at a heavy steel door set into the wall, almost invisible against the rough-hewn stone. The nurse produced a key, rusted and heavy, and the door groaned open. The air hung thick and heavy in the tunnels, a suffocating blanket of moisture and decay. The lantern light danced across the rough-hewn walls, revealing faded medical diagrams and unsettling sketches. The deeper they descended, the more oppressive the atmosphere became, broken only by the rhythmic drip of water. The nurse led her through a labyrinth of tunnels, the air growing colder, the stench of decay intensifying. They passed chambers filled with discarded surgical equipment and shelves stacked with dusty bottles. Finally, they reached a large cavernous chamber. A single torch flickered, casting long shadows.
The nurse, her eyes filled with fear and fury, pushed Sarah forward. "Go," she whispered, and with a final determined nod, she stepped into the chamber, her voice ringing out, clear and strong.
Sarah never forgot the horrors she witnessed that night. The clash between the nurse and the masked figures, the screams that echoed through the tunnels, forever etched in her memory. She barely managed to escape, the taste of fear acrid in her throat. The authorities descended upon Mercy Hospital, uncovering a network of tunnels and chambers, a hidden history of unimaginable cruelty. The hospital, its facade of healing shattered, was shut down, its secrets exposed to the harsh light of day. But for Sarah, there was no sense of closure. She knew with a chilling certainty that the society, like the serpent swallowing its tail, would rise again. Their thirst for power was too deeply rooted to be extinguished. She left journalism behind, haunted by the memories of that night, the echoes of screams, and the chilling certainty that true evil never truly dies. It merely hides, waiting for the opportune moment to rear its ugly head once more. And she would be there, watching, waiting, ready to confront the darkness, a lone warrior in a world forever teetering on the edge of oblivion.